everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, and this is my good buddy Brendan, and welcome to the YouTube channel. If you're finding us for the very first time, please click that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And tonight we're going to be doing our Money in the Bank review for, what is today, July 18th, 2021. Yeah.
Wow. Really?
It's been a long weekend. I've been spending some time with family, which is why we didn't get to Smackdown.
You couldn't even say that. You just spending. Man.
Yeah, bending, whatever. But yeah.
Wait, whoa.
That sounded terrible. But anyway. But that's why I've not gotten to Smackdown yet this week. So, probably be doing the same thing next week, spending time with some family. So Smackdown will be on our NXT review the following week. But with that being said, though, let's get into a little bit of Smackdown thoughts from this last week. First live crowd for WWE, and what would they say, 16 months, 17 months, somewhere in there?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So I'm going to be flat out honest with you. This crowd was hot for the first show back with fans. New set is basically a giant Titantron, by the way, which new set, I thought it looked...
Dude, I liked it.
Yeah, giant Titantron screen's one of the biggest LED screens I've ever seen in my life.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's not bad. Looks good. It really felt like Sami Zayn said in his promo later. Boy, I got to get on track here. But he said, lots of lights, big Tron, and 3D graphics. It's almost like they were distracting you away from their horribly booked show with tiny objects, unfortunately, though. Now, he didn't say that verbatim. He says, talking about distracting you away from what's going on with him in the the conspiracy against him. But, yes, this show... While an improvement, do not get me wrong, it wasn't terrible. It's better than a lot of their shows because the crowd made it better. The new sets and everything does make things better, but I am going to get into some of the same old booking stuff that they've been doing for months now. It's got to change. The Money in the Bank, on the other hand, I thought it was a good show. We'll get into that here in a minute, though. Vince McMahon opened up SmackDown, came out on the new stage, said, "Where the hell have you been?" and then left. That was it. I mean, we all know Vince don't like being on camera, but... I'm glad he at least come out and at least acknowledge the crowd. I'm sure, it was in Vince style, his fashion, definitely kind of just acknowledging, hey, welcome back, real quick and sweet. After this, we had a 6-man tag, Roman Reigns and the Usos versus the Mysterios and Edge. Fun match, but even though crowds are back, we're still pinning one half of the SmackDown Men's Tag Team Champions on this show with a roll-up at that. So back to the same old stuff there. One of the Usos pins Rey Mysterio. After the match, Edge and Roman get into an altercation, with Edge making Roman tap out to the crossbar with the bar in his mouth. Not sure if I myself personally would be building to a pay-per-view a few days out by having the champion tap out right there on live television. Granted, it was not in the match, it was after the match, but to me, I just wouldn't have the champion doing that going into the big show. But again, they paid it off pretty well at the pay-per-view, so all right, fine. But it's just one of those things where they've been making champions look weak a lot. And you can do it occasionally, like we've been saying, just not all the time. At least with Roman, this is the first time.
This is the first time he's ever looked like that.
Well, when he was facing Daniel Bryan, he didn't. They were playing the same gimmick of, I can make him tap. So he has done this before. But it has been a few months since then, for sure. And he's been dominant since.
Yeah, but he did tap out, but it was after the match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't even a match. It was a spot.
And I believe even at Mania, he might have tapped out, but the ref was down. So they have been doing this with Roman, but that notwithstanding, he's been booked pretty strongly, and tonight pretty good as well. But we'll get into that here in a little while. After the again we had more things to change. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm reading my notes here. The fatal 4-way main event is all about momentum heading into the main event, Money in the Bank. We've heard the momentum thing 1,000 times. And really, to me, it's like, why does momentum really matter when you get people like Seth Rollins, who wins the Fatal 4-Way at the end of this show, and then on Sunday does not win the Money in the Bank? So what good does momentum do if you don't have, because that's the way WWE books things. They have someone win it, the go-home show, and then they lose. But
so here's the thing. Like, I get what you're saying. Right. I understand. This is nitpicking. You're choosing words.
I am a little bit, but yes.
I understand what they were going for. Yes, you make Seth look like he's valuable. He could pull this whole thing off.
Right.
But the story into it was he was pissed off after the fact of what happened at Money in the Bank. But he knew why. He had a direct line in his mind as to why he shouldn't have been in that match in the first place. He said it himself. I wouldn't need to be here for the fact that you didn't show up.
No, we're talking about. Are you talking about the Money in the Bank main event, or are you talking about SmackDown?
Yeah,
okay.
He's talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
So like, he had a clear motivation here.
Mm-hmm.
Winning Money in the Bank would have been the icing on the cake for him,
Mm-hmm.
but he knew who he blamed for his
Yeah, and he's been blaming Edge for
situation.
weeks, absolutely.
So like,
And we can get into
one,
Rollins in the main event of Money in the Bank, but
yeah,
uh,
one aspect I get it, I understand
mm-hmm.
the whole thing. I understand, but what he was doing. I'm sorry, I got.
Oh, you're fine. We'll get to Rollins here in a little bit for sure when it comes to that point. But before we do that, let's get into Finn Balor makes his return to the main roster here on
Balor.
Yeah, Balor, what Balor, blah, 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 Prince Devitt, whatever you want to call him, returns and he confronts Sami Zayn. Boy, I said it again, Sami Zayn. Yeah, after his promo in the ring. So let's hope WWE does not drop the ball this time with Finn Balor. Let's hope they get it right this time. For one night, not too bad. Shotzi and Nox were against Natalya and Tamina, non-title match, and they pinned the champions again. That's the third time in 3 shows that Natalya's been pinned. So yeah,
I think legitimately, and I'm don't get me wrong, I was happy Tamina won a championship. I'm happy for Natalya as well.
They're not doing anything with them.
Let's be honest; they're going to be transition champions.
Absolutely. And this pinfall occurred when Zelina Vega and Liv Morgan were fighting at commentary. The distraction allowed Natalya to get pinned. And so again, distraction finish, another thing that we've complained about over and over here. So again, SmackDown was most people online were praising it as one of the best shows they put on in years. But again, I think a lot of it right now, and this even goes into Money in Bank a little bit, we're still in the honeymoon phase of the crowds being back. A lot of it is just fans excited. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see fans back too. I'm glad everybody's having a great time. But it's not covering up the real issues here. To me, I mean, it's maybe fooling some folks. And Money in the Bank was a good show.
Now, here's the thing.
But
he'll say all this stuff here, but we said the same thing about AEW.
Yeah, we did too.
I get it. The crowds are back, but there's still shit that they do that they should not be doing, whether it's crowds or not. And like, same token, everything he's saying here about this, because I didn't watch SmackDown, I was busy. The same gripes that he has about pinning champions and making these stupid distraction finishes a lot of times are frustrating. But that's in all of wrestling, because AEW does it, WWE does it, and it's still like, I get it if it's a once in a while thing.
Yeah, that's all we've been saying. Just rarity. Cool. Make it sparingly. Do it little at a time. But yeah, like we've talked about, and if you will go back and watch our AEW shows, I'm not just bashing on WWE here. I've said it about AEW. We talked this week about the Kenny Omega Young Bucks possibly having to be losers to set up the Hangman match. I don't like that either. So I'm going to give them crap just as much as I do WWE. So if they're doing the same stuff, I'm going to call it out. I'm just being honest in our opinions and the way wrestling should be booked.
And
properly.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's our opinions. I'm not a booker. He's not a booker.
Right.
A lot of people who watch this aren't bookers as well. Some people love it. They like it. They don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, much like SmackDown on Friday for sure. There's people all over the place praising it. Yeah.
Cool. More power to you. This is my opinion. That doesn't mean you have to hate me because I just didn't like a certain thing. That's my particular preference. And I get it. At some point, your champion, he loses to somebody. Yeah, he has to
and that's
lose.
fine.
And I understand if you want to establish this guy's your number one and he beats your champion, okay, cool, whatever. He has to lose at some point. I get that. But you can't make it this thing to where your champion looks like garbage without the right storytelling elements here. There's a reason why he lost. He either overconfident or his plan backfired in his face. You know what I'm saying? Those are acceptable.
Well, it's like the Bobby Lashley stuff. I'm critical of the Bobby Lashley thing. Like they had Xavier pin him a week or so ago.
But like I said, I can see how there is
a storyline element to it. So it's not as bad. But if they hadn't done it with every other champion they have, I wouldn't be as critical of the Bobby thing. But they're starting to do it now with their world champions. They even had Roman tap out on this show, on the SmackDown show. So it's a pandemic right now within the company that they need to stop doing it so much. That's the problem.
The whole Roman tapping out thing, there was no real weight behind it. It was just the match was already over. None of that held. It was just the moment you saw, like Roman said in the promo, he felt fear for a brief moment, but then what happened? turned it around.
And I understand how they're trying to tell the story with Bobby and Roman a little bit, that they can be beat. That's the story they're trying to give. And there were some people who bought it with the Kofi Kingston thing. We'll get to in Money in the Bank. There were people legitimately deflated about Kofi losing. They literally thought he had a shot, and he did not.
But here's the thing: we bitch about them not telling stories correctly. This was one aspect that people bought into the story.
Yeah, they bought it. I did.
Bought into it hard.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who did.
I didn't. I was like, there's no fucking way.
No. And nor is it the right time for Bobby to lose the belt. Nor is it the right time for Roman to lose the belt. Nobody should have thought those titles were changing hands on this show on Money in the Bank. But I get what they're trying to do, but you got to do it sparingly. And the more you beat these champions, the more we're just like, all right, you're pinning the champions all the time. And that's not a way to keep the belt strong or the champion strong. So we're going to criticize.
Like I said, I get why they did it, Bobby. And the way they did it, I understood that. That was one of those. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have got the segment that you got the following. With him tearing apart the VIP lounge.
Yeah, and that part was great. Don't get me wrong, that was good.
He was so mad, that they're right. They got inside his head, but in one aspect, like he said, they were right. I have lost that edge. I have got too comfortable, and that's what happens when you're a champion for so long and you destroyed everybody in front of you. You get comfortable, you get complacent,
right?
But the reality of it is you can't lose that edge. You have to stay. You have to. What's the saying? You have to do what brought you to the dance.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the moment you decide to deviate from that is when you start, underestimating your opponents, and then you lose.
Yeah, and on Money in the Bank, Bobby flipped that switch, as we'll get into. But
that shit was brutal. That shit was uncalled for. It was unsettling. It was unnerving.
Yeah. After the Shotzi or Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart, I know they took their names.
There you go, buddy.
But they stripped half the names from them on the main roster. It's now Shotzi and Knox. You don't say their other parts.
I don't know why they fucking do that.
It's just WWE main roster. But after they beat Natalya here, Knox rolled her up, which is again another roll up win on SmackDown. But then we had the SmackDown Women's Championship that was supposed to be on Money in the Bank. Since after the Bayley injury, that apparently they just moved it to SmackDown. Carmella, who gets the match, even though she did nothing to earn it, and she lost multiple weeks before this, she gets the title match against Bianca Belair. Basically, Bianca Belair wins after Carmella. They're telling the story where Carmella is using or trying to pull the hair, much like some Bianca Belair past opponents, and Bianca uses the hair to get a bit of an advantage. And now Carmella gets another rematch next week on SmackDown because she lost here, and she's blaming the hair and saying it was unfair. So we're going to get this again next week. Another rematches and things like that.
It's going to be a match where that hair is going to be on the line.
Yeah, it may be coming sooner or later the more they keep telling this story. And to our buddy Damon's credit, he had the same gripes about that hair. So I get it. Maybe she shouldn't be allowed to use it. So we'll see where they take it. I had a Toni Storm vignette she'll be debuting next week. I actually do like what they've been doing on SmackDown and tonight on Money in the Bank. They've been showing these brief cutscenes during wrestler entrances of current storylines and backstories. So I like that they're showing these, especially for fans during the pandemic who've not been watching. I hope they continue to do this even beyond this new phase in this story here where, we got fans back. Hopefully they'll continue to do this years from now even and kind of recap stuff for people who've not seen shows. And it's good for us to kind of get refreshers. It doesn't have to be long, just a couple seconds during an entrance. Show us what's been going on with this wrestler and move on. We had Otis versus Cesaro. Cesaro wins via a DQ finish when Chad Gable attacks Cesaro mid-match. American Alpha basically destroys Cesaro here. So at this point in the show, we have had 2 champions pinned, 2 roll-ups, 1 distraction finish, and 1 DQ. Lots of problems here with the booking on SmackDown. So again, the show was an improvement based on the crowd and stuff, but this is still some garbage.
It sucks because I think Otis and Cesaro could have a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were actually having a good match before Chad Gable had to get himself involved. Granted, it's heel stuff. I get it. This is probably going to continue. But
same shit we say about the fucking Bucks.
Which it's just Raw and SmackDown do this stuff too much. It's got you got to do it. Reduce it at least to once a show. Because like Money in the Bank, I thought everything on the show we'll get to was great except for one thing. So I can live with that.
Yes, but we're
going to talk
then too. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it made sense,
it made sense for the most part. But I'll tell you guys why I didn't think one thing made sense for sure. Only one match with a clean finish on this show on SmackDown, definitely via a normal pin that was not It wasn't a finish they've done to death over and over. So, again, you got to tighten this up a little bit. We had Happy Corbin out next. Get a recap of his misfortunes. He's supposed to feel sad. Well, we're supposed to feel sad for him. But he's a heel who's been getting his comeuppance, and so I don't really care.
Yeah, like, yeah, I get it. I get we're supposed to feel sad. And like I said, like I was saying before, some turns take a little while to get used to.
Yeah.
I'm so used to despising this man, which sucks because it's a juxtaposition to how I felt about him in NXT.
Yeah.
And then when he first showed up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one part where I genuinely felt bad for him. But then after that, I was just like, yeah, I don't fucking like it.
He actually asked the crowd to go to his GoFundMe page. He's hoping to raise $100,000, I think is what it was, to help his kids not have to eat SpaghettiOs out of a can.
Oh my God!
If you've seen his Instagram and stuff, you know that's not true. He's a big steak eater, definitely, big barbecue guy. He gets stunned for his complaining by Kevin Owens, who's coming out for the Fatal 4-Way. So again, are we supposed to feel sad for Baron Corbin here? He's letting his hair grow out, and he looks disheveled like he just came out of a pandemic. I mean,
we're going to see it. We're going to see it. And like I said, it's one of those things where it probably will grow on me at some point. But right now,
I don't care. I mean,
I miss the lone wolf. I want that.
I'm sure he'll get this turned around one day. Kind of like the Hangman Adam Page story they're telling on AEW.
Yeah.
He'll eventually get his stride again, but we'll see where they take it. But then we had the main event, the Fatal 4-Way match for momentum heading into Money in the Bank. Big E versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Great, solid, fun match, no doubt about it. Despite the fact, I got into it with some people on Twitter about this. There was a spot in the match, notwithstanding the multiple camera cuts and zooms that Kevin Dunn does on a normal basis. There was a spot in this match during the Kevin Owens ladder splash. He jumped up the top and went through the commentary table. There was the cameraman. It is clear as day to me. And I had people trying to send me fan videos of the video they were taking where it clearly showed the cameraman falling down. This cameraman did not fall down. This cameraman, what he did was during the spot, he jumped up, fell to the ground, and then during the shot, the camera does a 360, and that's the shot they went for. So I don't know if they had a gimbal on that camera or if he was just completely rotating. They said he fell down, so he dropped the camera and it rolled. The camera is in one spot. It did not go this way. If it was rectangular. It would not roll. It would go boom. The thing was spinning like this. So this is a shot that WWE tried to pull to make it look dramatic. I am 100% convinced of this.
Did you see evidence otherwise? Did somebody send you a video of
They tried to send me a video of the cameraman falling, but what he does is this, and then he disappears behind the barricade. So he jumped to make it look intense, and then when he hits, you didn't see him from that angle, but you can clearly tell when they shoot it, it's doing this.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It goes 360 degrees around. It's an incredible shot. Well, not in a good way, but to me, it was just like, it made me want to puke.
I didn't see it. So.
To me, it's one of those things that Kevin Dunn thought looked good, and it did not work for me. There were a lot of people who thought, oh my God, that's a crazy shot. But I'm sorry. To me, that was terrible. It's just another evidence of they need to stop with these crazy camera tricks. Just shoot the match. You don't have to do all these cuts and zooms. But if they continue to do it, I'm going to be proven right. This is a one-time thing so far, but we're going to see if they try this move again moving forward. But that's just my opinion on it. You don't have to agree with me. I'm sorry if you don't agree, but that's 100% the way I saw it, and that's just the way I see it. Seth Rollins won via a pinfall after a curb stomp on a ladder to Big E. Keep that in mind because, again, Seth Rollins wins this. They try to make you think he has a chance to win because he could cash in on Roman or Edge or whatever because they've been building that Edge thing. But, so Big E takes the pinfall, setting up what's about to happen we're going to get into.
But that's kind of apropos.
It is, but why did you have to beat him at all? And our buddy Mike, our fun fact and trivia guru, was texting us during this Money in the Bank show. He's like, so now we're going to get Big E jobbing out for a few months because that's what happens when people win the briefcase? Is that what we're going to get now? Because that's generally what they do. Let's hope they don't. But that's their formula. Because they can take the losses because they still got that briefcase. They can cash in at any time. I like your idea, though. Yeah,
that's why I think the briefcase it should hold some weight behind it. Like, once you win it, you could lose it at any point in time in a match. Like, it doesn't even have to be said that the briefcase is on the line. The briefcase is default on the line.
Every match you're in. Once
Every
you win
match
it.
you're in.
Yeah.
Once you win it.
And then it puts a time crunch then on you as well. If you have to cash it in before you lose. So I like that idea. I wish WWE would adopt that, but that's not the way they've ever done it. So I'm not expecting them to change now. But to me, that would add a new wrinkle to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also too, you may get more champions out of it. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it just adds that element of surprise, like what could happen here. It's kind of like when Ric Flair's streak or career was on the line. The next match he lost, he had to retire. So I like how they did that. It gave that element of suspense to it. Plus, maybe you never know who could actually take the briefcase without actually winning it from the ladder. It does devalue it a little bit there, but at the same time, I thought that makes
not really. It makes it whole. It puts more value on it because it's like
a little. It could. Yeah, I guess if
you want that briefcase for that opportunity. Now that you have that briefcase,
it's on you.
Lose that opportunity, so you have to constantly fight for and prove that yes, I won this. I deserve this title or whatever title shot I decide to take, and you're willing to fight for that right every time you're in a match.
Right. Well, with that being said, I thought SmackDown was a better show than normal, but again, they've got to shore up these booking problems. And I thought for one night, for the Money in the Bank, they did just that. So let's go over here and recap what I thought was actually a pretty good show. Money in the Bank from, what did they say, Fort Worth, Texas, I think was the place it was from.
Texas.
So, we kick off the show. We're going to get into the kickoff show a little bit because there was actually a tag match that was supposed to be AJ and Omos versus the Viking Raiders for the Raw Tag Team titles on the kickoff show, but they changed it apparently, and it was actually Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus Jimmy and Jey Uso for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And during this match, we get new SmackDown Tag Team champions here as the Usos defeat Rey and Dominic Mysterio. This was a very fun match to start the pay-per-view. Got the crowd into it from the get-go. They were completely hot for this match. They were all over, cheering for everything. And I thought the finish was even good. They had Jimmy Uso had performed like a snake eyes on Rey Mysterio, and he went for, I think it was a roll-up, but that notwithstanding, when he did that, though, instead of risking the kick out, Jey Uso rolled into the ring in the corner and used his feet to leverage Jimmy to keep him in the cover, so the kick out didn't occur. So I liked how they did that. It was clever. It was pretty good, and it kind of stole the win here. So I did like the finish, absolutely. So my only nitpick from this is I wish this was on the main show. If you're going to change the belts. Weird. Yeah. But other than that, like you said, it makes sense to maybe start the crowd out hot, do a great match. But I think AJ and Omos and the Viking Raiders could have done it because they had a good match
terrible.
too.
Yeah, I say their match wasn't terrible.
Omos has trouble selling a little bit, but that notwithstanding.
He's a big dude. I didn't imagine it's that fucking easy.
Yeah, not for him. Yeah, I understand that too.
And I get it. There shouldn't be too many things that rattle his cage. First of all, I mean, being his size, even Ivar, as big as he is and as agile as he is,
right?
Omos is still like a couple feet taller than him.
Oh yeah, Omos is a big man.
So I get it. But yeah, his selling. The best ain't the worst. Trust me.
I've seen worse. I mean, Great Khali comes to mind for a big man. But this wasn't.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like
I just think that might have been better for an opener, just so we can get the title match or the titles changing hands on the main show. But I get it, But
just as hot as that crowd was for AJ, I think it'd have been fine.
Yeah, I think it would have been too. Absolutely. Then we got the main show. The show started with a big fireworks display. The stage seems to be the same one that was used for SmackDown, so it seems like they're skimping a little bit, probably on the pay-per-view. But they've been doing that for years now. Unfortunately, I wish they bring back the pay-per-views that had their own unique sets.
Yes,
but apparently this is going to be the set. What I've heard, Raw might have some minor differences, but it's going to be mostly the same set from what I hear going forward. I know
that Titantron is huge.
Yeah, the only other thing that I didn't mention during the SmackDown thoughts was I think it feels like, while the Titantron looks great and everything, it just feels like window dressing to cover up the stuff that they're doing poorly. And I feel like, the 3D graphics especially. It used to be the point where we had 3D graphics for certain wrestlers. Now it seems like every one of them's got one. So maybe pull that back a little bit. You might be overdoing it. Not only that, we mentioned that with all the lights and the video screen and the graphics and the 4K camera they're using when they're walking to the ring, during the entrances especially, I don't know about any of you guys who watch this on HD TVs or anything, but it makes the picture look blurry. Like it's
like
almost
it's
like
out of focus.
It's doing too much, and the cameras can't pick it up clearly. So I think that's an issue, and it's been like that for a while. But for whatever reason, I really noticed it this week. So just thought I'd throw that in there. We started off the show with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Nikki Ash. After I think this wasn't as good as the men's Money in the Bank, but it was solid. I thought, yeah, I mean, they had a good reactions from the crowd for sure and all that sort of thing. Nikki Ash wins when she defeats Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Naomi, Natalya, Tamina, Zelina Vega, and Liv Morgan. The finish essentially saw all there were 6 of the women. I think what is that? Just 7 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 women. I don't know. Or one of they buried Alexa Bliss with ladders early on, so she wasn't.
Yeah,
she was on the outside buried, so that's where she was. So the other 6 women were fighting each other at the top of these ladders, just brawling, going back and forth. And Nikki Ash, unbeknownst to them, scurries up the ladder and grabs the briefcase, and they're all just like, "Aw," like I mean,
this was the funniest thing because
it was funny.
They're punching the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she gets it, and then everybody stops hitting each other, and they all look up like. Forgot about you.
It's like they totally took their eye off the ball, which to me is my nitpick of this. To me, it buries those 6 women just a little bit. Like you weren't paying attention. They were fighting.
It was one of those. They were fighting. They were focused on the opponent in front of them because they're all vying for that championship. All they need is that one person to falter, the other one reaches. That's what they were going for here.
Yeah.
What you don't think about is. There's 2 other people in this match.
Yeah.
One of them, you did bury it under some ladders, but you forgot about the other person. And the fact that she just scurried herself up that, and before anybody could go, hey, wait a second.
She was gone. Yeah, she had the briefcase. So in a way, I like the creativity of it to where Nikki just kind of rolled up there, grabbed it, and it was gone. So that was
she dipped.
Yeah,
she immediately dipped out.
She said, "Yes, I got it," and she was gone. So I like that. No doubt about it. I've not been the biggest fan of the Nikki Ash character. It's goofy, but so is the Hurricane and Molly Holly, so I'm not going to hurt it too badly. But
and Rosie,
and all that stuff. But I thought that was at least clever the way they did it, and the reactions of the other 6 women up there.
That was funny.
That was for like, oh man,
they were all like,
yeah,
oh shit.
Not only that, there was a spot in this match I thought with Alexa Bliss using her version of Sister Abigail was pretty clever.
Yeah,
it was
that was dope.
Yeah, it was where she kind of wrapped her arm around. It was a little different, so I thought that was pretty cool. I also half expected Alexa Bliss to use her magic and hypnosis or something and just kind of strong arm out of those ladders, like the big the bear spot or whatever you call it, the monster roar. But that was not to be. So. We'll see where they go with Alexa and some of these other women. But yeah, part of me was like, buried him just a little bit with the not paying attention, but it was clever. I got a laugh out of it, so did his job there for sure. And we'll see what they go with that Nikki Ash. At least she earned the spot this time, unlike when she beat Charlotte, beat Ripley. It was fluky. This one, she went up there, she got it, so I'll give them credit there. At least they finally got her something where she earned it. After this, we had the Usos celebrating backstage with their tag titles, which has Velcro on them now, we noticed.
Yeah. I don't understand why.
Yeah. What happened to the?
But again, maybe they're trying something else. The Velcro makes it easier when they do these ladder matches and shit like that.
I mean, they kind of put them on a hook now, anyway. But yeah.
But this would.
Now, and maybe it's just us, but we thought the SmackDown belts and the Raw belts, for that matter, looked like the red and blue.
They got a little upgrade.
Yeah, like they had some ribbing or something. I don't know, like detailing. Now the silver plates and everything still look the same, but it just looked like they had done some tweaking to it, and it made the belts look a little bit better.
Yeah, it looked a little nicer.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe we hadn't noticed it, but Velcro notwithstanding, I prefer the snaps. But that's just me. But I mean, maybe they can make a little fun with it. But we'll see what they do. So Roman Reigns said he was happy for them. They offered him the title belts and said, for you, they were going to give them to Roman. But Roman told them, hold on to them for me. So again, they were acknowledging Roman here by giving their property to him. He advised them that winning the titles was the easy part. Reigns told Jade that he's the reason he was there. Then he looked at Jimmy and said, and you.
And you.
Yeah. But he didn't follow up with that. A few people.
The way the camera zoomed in on his face.
Yeah. Like
Jimmy's face was funny. Yeah. Because he was just like, really?
A few people.
We all know.
Yeah. A few people chuckled as the camera zoomed in on Jimmy's face, as we mentioned. Jimmy and Jay took turns sucking up to Roman. He told them he was proud of them. Of course, when Jimmy was sucking up to him a little bit and saying, I acknowledge you, it felt like he wasn't being 100% honest.
It did not.
So they maybe still plant some seeds there there's a rumored tag match possibly with Dwayne Johnson maybe down the line, but we'll see what happens there. There were some brief boring chants though as Roman spoke, but they were faint. They weren't very long, so there's that. Before the upcoming match, they decided to replay some footage from last year of the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits doing their competitions. Why, I don't know. I mean, I guess to get us up to date with the Viking Raiders, but the Street Profits were nowhere to be found. You almost could have done without this. It might actually help the Viking Raiders look a little bit more legit. But yeah, so they had to recap.
I get why they did it. I mean,
yeah, it shows everybody what's been going on. So I'll give them that. Like I said, I kind of like that they're doing that, but maybe don't show the dumb stuff. That's just me. But
I don't know. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, where comedy segments go,
legitimately, I'm a fan of both of the teams. I like the Street Profits. I also like the Viking Raiders. So like. I was enthralled, especially by the dunk.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. It's funny, but to me, I when they happened live on Raw, and I guess they were on SmackDown, some I think, but
yeah,
I wasn't a fan of it at the time. Thinking, okay, this is just stupid WWE comedy, and there's nothing wrong with comedy in wrestling. I'm not saying that that's an issue. It's just some comedy is not funny, but but I mean, I get it. They were trying to do some stuff. They were trying to, do what they can during a pandemic, things like that. But yeah, I don't know. But that's just me. Almost started this match. The match was AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. As we mentioned, Omos, or however you say his name, is not the greatest, but he's trying. He's putting in the effort. And I thought when he was on offense, he looked okay. It was just kind of when he's taking some shots, he was kind of doing this, like he got hit in the face type thing.
Yeah,
or thing.
He was supposed to be portraying that he's stunned or he's woozy, but like I said, he's not the best, but he definitely ain't.
He's just green. Maybe it's just going to take some time, but luckily AJ Styles was doing most of the selling in this match, so that's always good. AJ's great. There was a spot. There was a spot where Omos launched AJ Styles on the outside and ended up turning into a Hurricane Rana. I thought that was actually really good. So yeah, I mean, this basically just came down to the fact that eventually Omos gave Eric a tree slam for the pinfall win. The crowd was actually happy. They were cheering for the heels here. Of course, it's AJ Styles, so he's going to get cheered. That's just the way it is. So yeah, I mean that was that. Yeah. The champs retained, and they chanted for AJ Styles throughout this whole match. Giving respect where it's
due. Like I said, I think they're gonna cheer for AJ. It's the same as. Kenny's the heel, but it's still Kenny, so people are going to cheer for him.
That's just the way it goes. And this is obviously, to me, if we can ever find Randy Orton, I don't know where he's at, but it's going to end up being the RK Bros versus AJ and Omos at SummerSlam. That's my prediction, so we'll see where they go with this. But, yeah, we got to find Randy. Put him on a milk carton. It's been a month or so. He's not been on the show. I don't know what's going on with him, but I'm sure he'll be back. Maybe he's just taking some rest time off. We'll see. Kevin Patrick was backstage. He interviewed Drew McIntyre. Loud boos during this, especially to start this, which we kind of wondered if Drew McIntyre had been kind of maybe they've been using him a little much. Obviously, he's been carrying the title throughout the pandemic. I got nothing but respect for him. He's definitely been doing his job. But it seems like they've been overbooking him, much like they do Charlotte sometimes, and we'll get to the Charlotte thing here in a minute, that the crowd's going to react negatively. And now, in Charlotte's case, she won them over by the end of her match. But Drew McIntyre's got some work ahead of him. Maybe a heel turn is not too far in the future.
That's what I said.
Yeah. He was thrilled to be back with the live crowd, and he needed a win tonight. He had one last story to tell. He was kicking off heads tonight, he said, climbing the ladder and winning the briefcase. He seemed to get a mixed reaction a little bit later in this promo, but he said that everybody loves story time with Drew. No, we don't. Stop that. Please, no more, Scottish, history lessons and Icarus stories and, Loch Ness Monster stuff. Stop it. That's not going to help him at all. He's getting booed already as it is. So if you want to continue that, go right ahead. But you're just one step away from magic beans and things like that. So let's not do that.
Oh, God. I remember the magic beans.
Yeah. So luckily Roman recovered, but oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. This match only lasted 7.5 minutes. It felt longer. Lashley squashed Kofi Kingston in this match. Sorry, a lot of wrestling, man. But yeah, so Kofi got a little bit of offense early on, but other than that, this was Eddie King. Boy,
because of the Kingston. You're trying to say Kofi Kingston, and it's not
Take
Kofi
two.
Kingston.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston gets squashed here. He basically gets murdered. If this was an R-rated movie, this would have been a bloodbath, but it was not. So yeah, I mean, surprisingly, no Xavier Woods outside. Obviously, Kofi's the fighting babyface. He probably wanted to go it alone. Kudos to that, but at least he lasted longer than 7 seconds against Brock Lesnar. But this was
it was the turning point was the running into the
post
spot.
Yeah, which is great. Bobby's been doing that with all of his opponents lately. But yeah, it's devastating, and crowds chanted for Kingston a lot as well. And like we said earlier, the story they were telling with Bobby taking these losses was to get the crowd to believe that Bobby could potentially lose, even though most people understand it's not the right booking decision to do. So they got the crowd to believe this, and this crowd was absolutely deflated in spots when Kofi lost because they believed it.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because it's not like you don't believe Kofi can't do it. Like, Kofi's not a champion. He is. But it's like the realization of, like, for weeks, they've done nothing but piss this man off over and over and over. And then finally, he's like, I'm going to kill what you cheer for. And that's exactly what he did. Yeah,
and there were some cheers for Bobby, too, just because they are booking him like that killer. Fans love to see a champion who is no nonsense, will win and do as he says he's going to do, which is why a lot of the reason Roman's over right now, other than the fact he sometimes has help. But for the most part, Roman does as he says. And people like that when people get wins. And Bobby has been, outside of the 2 times he got beat as champion, which, again, is an issue of mine. But for the most part, this match, he proved everything he says he is. He hit another flatliner and followed with 3 consecutive Ron Simmons dominators to end this matchup here.
And those dominators were disgusting.
Yeah, Kofi was a trooper here. He took everything that Bobby had to dish out. And it's telling a story, as we're going to get to with the men's Money in the Bank. I hope this is what they do. Obviously, there's talk of Goldberg coming back on Raw tomorrow night, or tonight, I guess, by the time you're seeing this episode. But if that happens, now I guess you could do Bobby versus Lashley later. But you got to continue the story with
Bobby versus Lashley?
I'm sorry, Bobby versus Big E. But to me, you don't want that story to fade away. You got to keep the New Day involved with Bobby Lashley. So if you're going to tell that story, but we'll see where they go. Maybe for a month or so, they're going to tell the Goldberg story, but we'll see. But then the crowd did boo Lashley as he taunted them after this was over. Lashley applied the Hurt Lock, and Kingston appeared to tap. The referee called it. So I guess he technically won by submission here. But yeah, the Dominator set up this finish. So good showing for Bobby Lashley. Absolutely. He needed this for sure after those losses. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship here. To be honest, I wanted to see both women lose because they've been booking this so piss poorly that neither one's been acting like a babyface at all. They've just been acting like total jerks to each other. And it's like, all right, I just hope you both lose. But in this case, I'm glad to see that Charlotte Flair got the belt. I'm not a fan of her having all these belt title reigns that don't mean anything. And, of course, the crowd felt the same way because they booed her out of the building and chanted, "We want Becky," during the opening of this match, which caused Charlotte to flip off the crowd. They quickly tried to cut away, but we all saw it. And, of course, that only instigated the crowd. Now, again, I understand why Charlotte got mad because it was taken away from the match they were trying to do. But when you instigate a crowd like this, you've got to expect it's going to get worse. And it did for a while. However, to her and Rhea's credit, they had such a good match here. They got the crowd to flip and chant, "This is awesome," and fully invest into this. So good on these 2 women. They've looked the best here than they have in a long time, especially in Rhea Ripley's case. Thoughts?
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Early on, the crowd wasn't into it, but they did. They turned it around.
Well, the crowd was also sapped because of the Kofi loss. They had to get back, but yeah. Go ahead.
But the way she won too, I thought was clever. Putting her leg in there. It was like one of those
into the steel steps, and crushing it. Yep.
I got to do something. She tried everything else. The spot though, the natural selection
off the top.
Was
that is one like we've said what was the move that they did MJF and Sammy Guevara off the top? Oh, the tombstone. maybe that should have been kicked out of. Yeah, maybe that should have been the finish. But I get it. We hadn't seen the figure 8 yet, which she was setting up here with the knee.
She locked that mug in.
Oh, and not only that, she got as fully arched as she could on that thing, on her tippy toes and everything. She was cinching it deep. Yeah, and of course, the Rhea Ripley could take no more, so she had to tap out here. So. Again,
Rhea didn't look like a punk in this one. She
performed well. You could almost see it on her face before this match started, though. Which to that, Rhea Ripley came out first, and the challenger came out second.
I get it. Sometimes you have that cocky champ who's like, "No, I'm more important than you."
Yeah,
I'll come out first.
Maybe, but this felt like WWE didn't have the respect for Rhea like they do to Charlotte.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was.
Which
sucked because...
And you could see it on Rhea's face a little bit. Like, she knew she was losing. She probably felt this might have been a little bullshit. But I don't know. But by the end of it, she performed well. She did her part well. She did great. This is the best Rhea's looked on the main roster. It's crazy because Rhea was great in NXT. I don't know what happened to her. Her promos have sucked. She sounds like she's reading stuff off a teleprompter poorly.
Probably is.
And I heard she even had to take acting classes, and Vince even told her to smile more, which may be part of the problem because, Rhea should not be smiling.
They did the same thing to fucking
Asuka?
Apollo Crews when he first showed up.
I mean, they try to change everybody, but yeah, I mean.
Made him smile more. I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah, which is why I'm worried about Finn Balor right now. Anybody else like Bronson Reed or Karrion Kross.
In a while. He doesn't smile.
Well, do you remember they did that with him on the main roster, though?
Yeah.
Every night he was out there. Hey, showing his crotch on camera.
Here's the thing. He made it charming.
Yeah, but it wasn't Finn. Finn is his best when he's that, Bullet Club Finn or the Prince, the character, that whole 9. Hopefully that's what they'll stick with. But I give it about a month or two and he'll be smiling like crazy again. We'll see.
I hope not.
I hope not to. So yeah, the crowd really got into this and they popped for the finish. So very good match. Yeah. Surprised they popped, being they gave Charlotte such a hard time. But again, she earned their respect. So she got them to follow her at the end of this thing. So good on her for that. And we'll see if Becky Lynch returns. I'm tired of seeing Becky versus Charlotte all the time. It sounds like we may be getting Sasha versus Bianca again at SummerSlam, but we'll see for sure. But they got to do something. They got such a weak division. Unfortunately, they've got to pull some of these names in. Becky will work because the crowd missed her and they want her back. But it's just we've seen it to death. Unfortunately, it's been a while, but we've seen it to death. After this, we had this is about the point in the show where Peacock started having horrible issues. It was all the way across the board.
God.
Yeah, apparently everybody online, even for the big wrestling, critiquers and things like that, YouTubers and all that stuff, were all saying it. Apparently it was just dying everywhere. Apparently the international feed was good, though, according to Dave Meltzer. It was Peacock in the States alone because in the States is the only place you get the network, I think. But yeah, basically it lasted about 20 minutes. We didn't really miss a whole lot, thankfully. But it came at this point in the show where we only missed this next couple segments here we're going to get into. But we had to end up, rebooting and restarting it, and it worked like a charm after that. So get your stuff together, Peacock. If SummerSlam, this happens again. It's been happening for 3 months since you guys took over. Get it together, all right? Come on.
Yeah.
Riddle approached Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs in the gorilla position. Riddle was a fan.
Listen.
I thought I had a good delivery on that.
Listen, you may not like Boogs, but I'm telling you now, a lot of the comments that when they were talking about this on Twitter,
I didn't see it, so I couldn't judge it. But
fucking love Rick Boogs. Okay.
Hey, to each their own. I can't stand him on SmackDown, but he might be a good in-ring talent, but we don't see enough of it. But I mean, he plays a good guitar if that's actually him, and he's not, just stringing it. And
I think it is. I mean,
it might be. But
it's just like with Elias, first I didn't think he actually knew how to play it, but yeah, he fucking does.
Yeah, but Riddle was a fan of theirs and Boogs was a fan of his. They wished each other luck. Riddle said Randy Orton was a big fan of theirs too. I highly doubt that.
I don't.
Boogs was excited, but Riddle admitted that Orton never actually told him. What was that? Boogs was excited about, but Riddle admitted that. Okay, that's funny. He just assumed as much. Riddle asked Boogs to play Orton's theme song, and Boogs obliged. So that I kind of like to have heard that one. They sang Randy Orton's theme song together. Nakamura initially seemed annoyed, but he got into it and did Orton's pose. Kevin Owens was nearby and appeared.
Damn it, I'm mad I missed that.
Yeah, I kind of, it might have been okay. Here we are giving them crap, and here they are, maybe had something comedy gold. Kevin Owens, though, was standing nearby, and he looked absolutely what the hell am I watching right now? So yeah, the crowd enjoyed this. So man, stick it, Peacock, man. You know,
Dude, I'm sad I missed it.
Here we are giving them such a hard time, and they pull out Comedy Gold. Who knew?
Jesus Christ.
Serves us right.
The one time.
Yeah, the one time. The rest of the time it's garbage. For once, it's like, that could have been fun. Especially with Nakamura, like, rolling his eyes.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Nakamura do... Oh, that's...
Yeah, that would have been great. We'll have to catch this on a replay, for sure.
Yeah.
Apparently, a bunch of people lost their feed, as we mentioned, and but I guess in Canada it was working just fine, so good for you, eh?
Bruh.
Anyway, men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This was Big E versus Kevin Owens versus Riddle versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, John Morrison, and Drew McIntyre. Before we get too far into this, there was a very audible, very loud Johnny Drip Drip chant in this match. Please don't encourage them to do this garbage. I mean, again, though, to your credit, though, people like it. I know. More credit if you like it, but I'm just like, no. I mean, he's got drip written in his hair in silver lettering. What?
Listen,
whatever.
Listen. If people love the Bucks and their weird ass clothes and mustaches, it is what it is.
It's pro wrestling, I suppose. But yeah. This was a much better match than the women's match. Lot going on here, carnage everywhere. Money in the Bank, you don't expect any less here. There was one spot in this match where Ricochet was up on the top of the ladder going for it, and I think he got pushed over by Riddle. And what he did, he springboarded off the top rope to a group of guys on the outside. That was absolutely incredible. I agree.
Amazing.
I agree that Ricochet is underused based on the evidence we know of. So, Vince, if you don't see any talent in this guy, what are you watching, bruh? Come on, man.
That shit was, for lack of a better word, phenomenal.
At least Ricochet had actual tights tonight. He wasn't wearing Roman Reigns pants. So, granted, it works for Roman, but it made no sense for Ricochet.
Not everybody else.
Yeah, so at least they gave him some attire tonight, so I was happy about that. Didn't get to see a whole lot of these entrances or anything like that. And the match actually started before we got our feedback. But, I mean, I'm trying to think of some great spots during this. McIntyre actually got cheered during his Claymore spots. There was a great spot where Riddle and Shinsuke were going back and forth, trading kicks and missing and ducking and stuff.
I want to see that so bad.
Smooth as all hell. Great spot. And, of course, they both get Claymore for their efforts. But a good spot. And McIntyre got cheered during that. McIntyre basically got taken out of this match when Jinder Mahal's cronies, Veer and Shanky, ran down, pulled him off the ladder, put the beats down to him, and Jinder Mahal came down and attacked him with a chair. And they drug him away.
Kidnapped him.
Yeah, they drug him away. Obviously, maybe we'll see him tomorrow night or tonight.
It's illegal.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see him in a back room, and they'll have him strung up or something like.
Don't do that. You can't do that. That's way too close to the whole Al-Qaeda thing. You can't do that.
Well, I'm just thinking more like choppy yo pee type thing with Venus.
That's a one-time thing. We ain't gonna see that nowhere else.
But they'll have him doing something probably under their control tomorrow night or tonight when you guys see this. But yes,
They just kidnapped that man.
It was a good way to get him out of the match, I suppose, because a lot of people were afraid he was going to win the Money in the Bank, which to me would not have been the right call right now. He needs some rehabilitation, and the crowd just needs a break from him, I think. It's been a whole year and a half we've been having Drew every week, which, again, he did his job well. He did what they asked him.
Yeah, I would say he carried.
And he's good. It's just people need a break sometimes, and a heel turn would definitely benefit him, but not right now. Him and Jinder at SummerSlam, if that's where they're going, I don't think anyone's going to care. They may get booed out of the building, unfortunately. But we'll see what they do for sure. We got some Owens at one point gets powerbombed on the outside through a ladder bridge. Oh my God. Poor Kevin Owens. It's
the same as I said last week when we did the review for AEW. I get why they do certain spots.
Yeah.
It looks great. The crowd pops. But, dude, there is some risk you don't need to take.
No, and at least unlike the Darby Allin coffin spot, this was during the match.
Yeah, this was actually during the match. This was
Darby was just to send the crowd home happy and ooh and all. But, again, that's a little very unnecessary, not a little. So, I understand what they're doing. But
this
at the same
was
time,
in the context of the match,
and this took Kevin Owens out of the match. He never came back into it. So, hopefully he's okay. There was also a spot. There was also a spot earlier, which is interesting to note based on who wins this. Apparently, someone on Twitter noted that Big E had done his dive through the middle of the rope to the outside like he normally does, and we're always afraid that he's going to get hurt doing this. And apparently, after that spot, he had a hard time lifting his left arm, I think it was. So hopefully he did not hurt himself here. We'll have to wait and see. But he is the one who wins the briefcase here. And it is, to me, the right call to have Big E win this briefcase. He is the one, to me, it makes most narrative sense to have Big E now challenge Bobby Lashley at some point based on the fact that Lashley has been terrorizing his buddies The New Day over on Raw. I know he's a SmackDown guy. You can maybe hold off until after the draft. Or because he's got the briefcase, he technically has the ability to challenge any champion he wants. So he could jump to Raw for that alone. But we'll see what they do. But since they're doing the Goldberg thing, they may wait till the draft. And maybe, Big E just kind of holds on to it on SmackDown. But we'll see where they go. But yeah, definitely hoping Big E's okay. We'll see what happens. But even on the big ending, it looked like he was lifting him up with one arm, but didn't really do much with the other. So we'll see where they take it for sure. This was a terrific match. Great fun. Carnage everywhere. Go check it out for sure. One of the best shows of the night, and the crowd was very happy with it. Absolutely. The announcers then plugged SummerSlam in Las Vegas, so that's coming up on Saturday, August 21st. Of course, I'll be out of town for that. So our SummerSlam review will be up on the following Monday. Just a little bit of advance notice for you guys here.
Yep.
Roman Reigns, well, before this, we had a Kevin Patrick interview with Seth Rollins backstage. He could barely breathe. He just came out of a Money in the Bank match, so obviously. Rollins was pissed that he lost. Rollins thought he should have been in the Universal title match instead of the ladder match, and he blamed Edge for this. He wasn't waiting around. He said he was next in line for the winner of Edge versus Reigns. So we're going to see a little bit more of that here in just a second. Even though I'm going to get into my nitpick of it. But anyhow, we had Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship, which during the 3D graphic, it was interesting to note they called it the Smackdown Universal Championship. I didn't notice if earlier in the night they said the Raw WWE Championship. I highly doubt that. But it was interesting. They branded it. But anyhow, the crowd popped big for Edge. The crowd booed heavily for Roman, which is interesting because later on,
later on, it was like this mix between the two.
Yeah, they started to cheer him again. So so they were definitely pumped for this main event, as they should be. This was built very well in the weeks leading up to it, with the exception of Roman tapping. But other than that, I agree. This was booked very well. The best thing WWE's had going in a long time. Roman in general. A lot went on during this match. There was a spot in this match. Well, I mean, Edge got some offense early on, but for the most part, Edge was getting a beat down in this. A lot of loud Roman sucks chants, but it was funny because Roman was getting these Roman sucks chants right when he was winning. So he looked out in the crowd and he said,
I'm winning.
So this was great. Roman is ad-libbing, he's on another level when it comes to that right now.
Yeah.
And there was even some people in the crowd that were clapping during a submission hold, and Roman was like, don't clap. You think I can't wrestle? I'll hold him here all day. He goes,
I'll hold him here all day.
Yeah.
I'm 285 pounds.
Yeah.
Nobody can get me off of him.
And he did hold him there for a long time to make his point.
Yeah, he did.
So it got the crowd a little even more riled up here. Edge does fight back a little bit here. He countered a Superman punch into a backslide, which I didn't buy that finish personally. There was a couple later that I thought maybe, but then they knocked each other down with big boots. They traded strikes until Edge hit an Edge-O-Matic for 2. This match at this point, apparently according to this article, is now as long as the entire Money in the Bank men's match. So it went a little long, it didn't feel long, really. It was a good match, well booked. It basically came down to toward the end here. Reigns broke off a piece of a steel chair, tried to use it to put on Edge at a crossface.
Hold on. You can't speed past the spears.
Oh, okay.
Roman went for a spear through the barricade.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
And then Edge hit him with a spear to the barricade.
Yeah, they did
at that
too.
point.
Yeah, it was getting real.
I was like, yo.
Edge was building momentum, as they love to say. Edge then, we'll just go back to that a little bit. Edge then ran outside, spear through different parts of the barricade. Edge hoisted Reigns on his shoulder into the ring and applied a cover, but Reigns kicked out. The crowd chanted for Edge. Edge tried another DDT, but Reigns blocked and hit a Superman punch. Edge fell into the referee, Charles Robinson, who died on the spot. There were some people online who thought he might have legit got hurt during this. I don't think so, based on where it was booked, but it was
the way he grabbed his leg, though.
Well, I mean, he might have got hurt, but it was a planned spot. So yeah,
and he had it might have been a planned spot, but he might have got hurt off the planned
possibly.
spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he rolled out of the ring and he was like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's when Reigns went outside and broke a piece of the steel chair. Tried to use it to put Edge in a crossface, which is what Michael Cole caught it. He put him in, or well, Edge put Roman in STF earlier.
STFU. Yeah, the STF.
Yeah, earlier.
And then
Edge put him in
called
an STF. He called it a crossface.
And I was like, that's not a crossface.
No, but that's okay. Michael Cole was also trying to erase Chris Jericho from the history books earlier. He was saying Edge is the one who invented the Money in the Bank, and either he was mistaken or he was just lying because it was Jericho who did that. But AEW guy, so we got to bury him. After this,
Once they bury him, I mean, the man was on their show.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. They just kind of don't want to mention that. Well, we got to make up something to kind of explain the story. But now you could say Edge definitely, helped to legitimize the Money in the Bank because his cash-ins and stuff like that. But invented it? No. Maybe he just misspoke too. That could be a possibility.
I mean, he was misspoken. He was talking out of his ass for a lot of it.
Yeah, especially the STF stuff and as well.
He was saying stuff, and I was like, "What are you talking?"
Even Pat McAfee had to correct it a few times.
Pat was like,
it's like, how long you been doing this, Cole? Come on, man.
Yeah, I think Cole was just in rare form, but he was just...
Yeah, I mean, all excited crowd, just letting it loose. Maybe he's a little tired at this point, long show. But who knows? I mean, Cole has his issues. But much like JR, people make mistakes. I mean, I'm not going to get on him too badly, but it's just kind of funny when it does happen for sure. So officials and medical staff ran down to check on Charles Robinson, but nobody thought to send a new referee into the ring, which to me, I think that's on purpose because what happened? Edge fought out and put Reigns into the crossface using the metal piece of the chair. And of course, since there's no ref, he can't win, right? That's when the Usos, this is where it starts to get a little overbooked for me, which we've talked about on AEW at times. The Usos made their way to the ramp, but were taken out by Dominic and Ray. So at least they didn't have any effect on the match.
So that's the thing.
That's fine.
That didn't affect shit.
Right.
Because, they ran down and didn't even touch him because they didn't make it to the ring.
So that was fine. I had no issues with that. Edge still had to hold on, but Seth Rollins slipped into the ring and kicked Edge in the head. Now, this is where I have my nitpick. Now, I understand the story they're trying to set up with Seth Rollins blaming Edge and the fact they're setting up Edge versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. However, to me, from Seth Rollins' character standpoint, he said in the earlier promo he wants the winner of this match. Now, you mean to tell me that he would rather face Roman instead of
because
but
at the end of the match, at the end of all of it, when they're standing face to face,
agreed.
He says to Roman, "You think you own this?" He goes, "You forgot who I am."
Agreed.
And then by that time, Edge hit him.
But even if that is the case, the fact that he attacked Edge, him as a character, did he honestly think that Edge is going to let that go and just let Rollins have the world title match against Roman?
No, not for a little bit.
So it's going to be where Seth doesn't get it again.
But he's also blinded by rage and
I understand. Yeah, they have been
in
playing
his mind.
That story.
It makes perfect sense.
True. So it's a miscalculation on Rollins' part. You can say, okay, he made a mistake.
I screwed you over.
But just to me, it bugged me a little bit. Not only did he get involved in the match, which bothers me already, but the fact it was just kind of like, all right, you should know the best case scenario here is you get a fatal 4-way based on who comes back here in the end. But that's not going to be what happens. It's going to be singles, and then maybe Rollins gets a shot. But we'll have to see where they take it. I figure my assumption is Edge may get his win back, but if Edge goes away for a bit because he's he's not as part-time as some, but maybe Rollins does get a win, and maybe he does face Roman later on. That's a possibility. We'll see. They may have to turn one of them face.
Otherwise, he did say to Roman, "You think you're in charge," and he goes, "But you must have forgot who I am," or something like that. And I'm like, damn. They have history.
Yeah, they do, and I like that they're playing on that for sure. Minor nitpick aside, though, with the Seth Rollins interference, I thought for the most part this main event was fine
because it really didn't. The end of it. It didn't really come to it. I mean, even the second time he comes down and he goes to kick him, fucking Edge stops him from doing that. And of course, he still ate a spear though. Like that was
it led to the finish where he lost though. Yeah. It really did. So I mean, that part bugs me. So Edge technically still hasn't lost to Roman. Technically, I mean, he got pinned. But now, I take that back. He lost already at WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan. So to me, Edge shouldn't have been in this match to begin with because he didn't do anything to earn it other than saying you're mine.
But here's the thing.
But
Edge still hasn't gotten that real one-on-one.
I don't care.
It's always something. And I get but that's his motivation.
I know, and that's what the company says. He's owed it. No, he's not. He got his shot. He lost. Now, you could argue, he didn't get the one-on-one, but you still got the shot that you earned. You blew it.
Yeah.
and convincingly. It wasn't like Daniel got pinned and Edge didn't. Edge got destroyed as well. So to me, it's like it shouldn't have happened to begin with.
He said, "I stacked him,
and racked him." Yeah.
I printed a shirt.
I made a shirt. Yeah, so that was great. That was good on his part. But anyhow, back to the match here. Reigns, let's see. Edge still had a hold on, but Seth Rollins slipped in and kicked him in the head. Reigns got up and set up for a spear. Edge speared Reigns anyway, though. I thought this was a spot where Edge might have. I thought Edge was going to win on that spot. I was like, okay, so at least they got me believing in that case. Rollins ran back down into the ring and leaped onto the apron. That's when Edge chased him away, but Reigns speared Edge, and that's where it went. So again, distraction finish. So yeah, the finish notwithstanding, that is my biggest issue with this show. The way they, again, I get they're setting up the Edge and Seth Rollins and Roman and this guy that's coming out here in a second, but to me, you didn't need to do that. You could have had Seth attack him after the match, say it was my shot. I don't know. You didn't have to have it involved in the finish. But, again, you can do it, but you're doing it a lot on your main shows.
He did attack him.
Yeah, he did too as well. Right. But I think to me, you could have got your point across just doing that and not during the match stuff. But
he wasn't letting it go.
No, and and Edge. Well, you mean Edge returned? Yeah. So Edge definitely attacked him after the match, as he should. He cost him the world title.
Seth attacked him.
Oh well, Edge fought back
after it was over. Yeah, after it was over, Seth rolls in the ring. He starts beating the holy hell out of Edge. And
Rollins attacked Edge. Then he had to stare down. Yeah.
It was Roman, and the words were exchanged, and then that's when Edge got up and was like, "No, bitch, I'm your problem now."
Hate to break it to you, Seth. You're not getting that title unless they go Fatal 4-Way, which again I wouldn't hate, but I just don't think that's where they're going to go.
I don't think we should.
No, I don't think we should, because I think there's more of a storytelling based on what I'm about to say here, but. So they disappear through the crowd. They're fighting, and Reigns' music is playing. He's standing in the ring. Heyman hands Reigns a microphone, and Reigns said the whole world can now acknowledge me. So, great delivery here. And that is when we get the uber surprise of returning Hollywood celebrity himself, Fast and Furious star, Suicide Squad Peacemaker, John Cena himself. His music hits here.
Yeah,
and the crowd loses their minds.
Hold on. There was one little kid.
Yeah, this kid in the front row, man.
In the front row. I thought he was going to have a freaking heart attack.
He was going out of his gorge.
He was jumping up and down. He's yelling. I was like, yo, somebody check him.
And say what you want about WWE, and I've had my criticisms, but this is what they do best. They create moments. They make kids smile. And that's what it's all about to them. Whether we always agree with the booking or not, as we've said on this show, this is why they're successful. And John Cena, I could say right now, I don't think John Cena deserves a spot. He's done nothing to earn it. He's going to come out and say, now you're facing me at SummerSlam, and that's going to be the end of it. To me, I wouldn't book my professional wrestling that way, but John Cena is a name. Kids love him. He is uber popular for years and years.
He might not be the one to lay down a challenge. I think this is going to be something
it might be. You might be Roman, based on the way this is.
I think Roman is the one who's going to come out and be like, who do you think you are? All those years ago,
you took my moment.
Yeah. And I think he'll be the one to lay down the gauntlet here.
That would be better. John. That would be better. Yeah. I would like that more for sure. So Cena entered the ring. He posed, looked at Roman, and just kind of chuckled and moved on. Played to the crowd as Reigns stared on and looked uber annoyed as the show ended.
He walked up to him, took one step, took another step, and then went.
Yeah. And Roman was livid. He wasn't moving much. He wasn't reacting, but you could see it in his face. He's like, what this mother? Like, what are you doing here?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, like.
While you were gone, I was doing
my yard,
all this.
Boy.
Man.
Yeah.
He was not happy.
Well, and the thing is, too, when Cena and Roman went at it, 4 years ago now, Roman wasn't the best promo like he is now.
No.
The stuff that they can tell with Cena and Roman, now assuming Cena's not rusty, can be absolutely incredible and stellar. This will be a big money match. It's the right booking call. I'm not gonna lie. My nitpicks of bringing in part timers to go into world title matches notwithstanding, but
this
from a selling
no
ticket, this
ain't no Goldberg.
Well, the fact that he's not around as much. You could argue it's similar, but Cena can go more than Goldberg can. No doubt about it.
That's what I'm saying.
But
you're not going to get Matt Goldberg match quality here.
No, it's going to be better than that, I hope. I know Cena's not wrestled in a while. But I'm sure he'll be put into his practice. He'll get the ring time in before then. But from a booking standpoint, as of selling tickets and selling out crowds, this is a good call. SummerSlam will be uber, big. It's going to be an awesome event. They've already got some good matches laid out. Sounds like they weren't going to get Brock Lesnar back, but we'll see what they do with some of these other matches around it. But yeah, this should be the main event of the show.
I think Brock is like, nah, I'm good, man.
And good on him if that's the case. And again, the Big E storyline to me, as long as he's not hurt, is where I would go. Screw this Goldberg stuff. He can't go more than 2 minutes without gassing himself out anyway or concussing himself in the locker room before he comes out. To me, do the Big E story. That's what I would prefer to see. It makes narrative sense of where you've already told this story. You come in and have Big E defend his buddies. Hopefully they don't get involved in the actual title match.
Big E could be a credible threat to Bobby Lashley.
And to be honest, if Big E beat Bobby, I'd be perfectly fine with that if he wins the belt. Maybe. I mean, I don't think it's too early for Big E. Big E's been paying his due. He's been doing the Intercontinental stuff. He's been working his way up. It's fine. I mean, you could argue some things they put titles on before a little too soon. But in this case, I think that's the right story to tell. But it sounds like we're getting Goldberg. We'll see where they go on Monday Night Raw for sure. But with that
Goldberg should get destroyed within minutes.
I hope so. And let's be honest, he can't go more than a couple minutes anyway. But Goldberg, his sellings, maybe ain't the greatest in the world either. But if Brock maybe pins him in a few minutes, I won't be as upset about it. But yeah. But again, from a booking standpoint and selling tickets, Goldberg's a name.
Yep.
So we'll see what they do. But that'll do it for the Money in the Bank show for this year, actually. Overall, great show for WWE. Finishing the main event notwithstanding, and maybe the tag titles being changed on the pre-show. Everything else was top to bottom with good matches, good storytelling without some anything crazy and absurd, with the exception maybe Alexa Bliss pulling a little hypnotics, in the ladder match and stuff. Top to bottom, pretty good show. So this is much better than SmackDown. Hopefully they can keep the momentum rolling on here. The real test is going to be Monday Night Raw because that is the worst show by miles and miles. So we'll see what they do. But the real question here is, guys,
they have some interesting stories to tell. And I think
they do. If they can pull them off right. It's just they've got to build that undercard. Same with Roman and on SmackDown, Bobby on Raw. You got to build all this other stuff underneath it. You get that going well. Don't do the pinning champions, distractions, roll-ups, and DQs. Stop it. And start giving us some credible things. But with that being said, guys, that's our opinion. If you feel differently, more power to you. We appreciate and we love the fact that if you liked it, we're happy for you. We want you to enjoy this. We just wish we could in certain times. But for tonight, they did a good job and we enjoyed ourselves. But the real question is, what do you guys think? Comment down below. Let us know. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on our channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we get new content up on this channel. And Brandon's definitely tired, so we're going to go to bed now. It's a late night here, so take care, guys, and we'll see you next time. So, adios.
Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could jump and grow. Yeah, I got shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.